What's up there, you guys? Your man Joe came around just to find that you need to know. So the meaning of me going on live today is because I saw a video where young men and old men was talking amongst each other. Pretty much one is a pastor, and I guess the other guy's like a young preacher, a young pastor, or whatnot. Um, so the pastor was, kind of a bit condemning, people who are shacking up and all that and stuff like that. So the man, the young person had a, debate about, about sexual sins. It's not saying it's not the problem is that people that are living together. It's pretty much about those that who are having sex, and and the pastor and possibly other deacons that were there. They was like, you young people always, shacking up and all that. And I had to think about it a little bit. He said, yeah, a lot of people um, young people that are shacking up and getting together without marriage. And to be quite frank, I feel like I'll say this, it's because our culture has changed and is went to a you know reprobated um, or yeah, I guess you could say reprobated or some type of change in our society that you know that now that we are devaluing devaluing the marriages because of the systems that it would be and all that. My issue is this. Actually, it was a TikTok video, and somebody duetted it, and the person said that, "Oh, what about these pastors are sleeping with those in the churches and pretty much as that." My thing is that okay, as far as shacking up, um, I don't want to say I feel. What I think is that if you have no intended to be have no intentions of getting married or being married and you're just living together, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's pretty much shacking up. But if you're wanting to get married or wanting to be married, and I guess it all depending on the circumstances of life right now because everything's getting way, a lot more expensive. And it might take some time to set up the and especially living situations and weddings and stuff like that. So it's probably going to take a minute. Then fine. My issue with the whole shacking up culture is that, especially when it comes to believers, is that the church is not preparing young people to be married. Well, at least as far as I know, I haven't been to church in a very long time, but I know for one thing is that the church is not preparing young people to be married. From what I've observed from churches is that they kind of been borderline like shame single people in the church. They borderline kind of like shame people in the churches because I don't know why that they're shaming single people within the church, but it does happen. Um, I'm not saying give if the church is going to shame single people for not being married, at least give them it's like some decent advice, decent instructions. I'm not saying that I'm going to get married tomorrow, but if that day comes, at least I'll be somewhat prepared, at least halfway. Unless you're the type of person that's like learn as you go, but um yeah, then yeah, but at least give us some advice about how to deal with the things that are in this world. Well, we have a lot of baby boomers in the churches, who have been married for years and they don't really deal with singleness in this realm right now because everything is changing. Everybody to me is too freaky for me to date. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Some of y'all, just especially y'all ladies, I don't know what happened to y'all because y'all acting more manlier than me. How dare y'all? How dare y'all? How dare y'all? Huh? Huh? Hmm? There are women out here in this world that have a beard and they'd be called beautiful. But every time I grow out my beard, they'd be like, "No, you need to grow up and shave." Hypocrites. No, but actually, yeah, I think that single people need, especially single people within the churches, they do need help when it comes to marriage, just in case if that day ever comes. I'm not saying that they're going to be married by tomorrow, but just in case if one day that it will occur. Now, as far as the pastors um, who are giving off, hold on, somebody says, um, Thabo, I'm gonna call you Dennis. Dennis says, "What is your view on?" We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that too. Um, as far as for pastors, you know, especially who are in high positions and stuff, how do you deal with, especially those who are in the churches? How do you deal with a bunch of women, single women in your churches, knowing that they've been single for quite some years, they probably had a baby or two, and they're there and they're just not married? How do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal uh, with so much women in your churches that are not married, um, that some of them might dress a little bit provocative? How do you deal with that sexual immorality in that realm? I know that shacking up has a realm of its own sexual immorality as well. But as far as how do you deal with sexual immorality in that realm, where you'll have people or mainly women that dress up inappropriately, you know, how do you deal with in that realm? Because also in the duet videos that there's a lot of pastors and deacons that are sleeping with the women in the churches, and yeah, that is very true. That is very true as well. But which one is more worse? Both of them. But depending on the situation, as far as for the shacking up part, there could be some people might be struggling trying to get married, but money is not there, or it could be many other reasons. But as far as pastors go who dealing with sexual immorality within the churches, I guess you could say that. I mean, unless you're single, unless you're, I know in the pastors and deacons you have to be married. Um, yeah, you have to be married to be in that sort of position. How do you deal with the sexual immorality, dealing with the world and all that? I know I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but what is my thoughts on you know, same, mm, what can I call it? Same people marriage. Okay, my thoughts on same people marriage is I don't think it's necessary for people that are of the same gender should be married, because for one, the government is just pretty much trying to make money off of y'all. Two, so does the wedding industry. Three, people are just encouraging, so they people are just encouraged, so they don't want to be seen as homophobic, or so they don't have to lose their job if they say something like that. So that's pretty much. I mean, yeah, is it immoral? Yes, but quite frankly, it's pretty much those first two that I just talked about. Um, yeah. Hmm. I know I comb my hair. I look. Sorry, sorry, I got distracted. It's hot in this thing. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Now talk about single people need help in marriage just in case that day comes. Um, I believe that there's a lot of hypocrisy. Maybe some hypocrisy in the churches. Maybe it's because the reason why that the I know that the churches cater to the modern day churches cater to women because they have the more financial to give them. So that could be one thing. You know, because there's a video I remember like years ago that I watched called. It was called "Is the Black Church Keeping Black Women Single and Lonely?" And I'm pretty sure that you probably think, "Oh, Joe's racist." No, there's an actual video about that. I don't know if it's still up, but yeah, there's an actual video that's called is a black church keeping black women single and lonely. And what's interesting is that now that I really think about it, when I go to black churches, no, not black church, well, yeah, black churches, I do see men in the black churches, but not as much. But in the white churches, I see maybe some of them. Some of them may have like husbands and children, but rarely see a husband in the black church. Rarely see somebody, somebody that's black in there that has a husband or pretty much in that sense. Um, yeah. So, hmm. So I do believe that there is there may be beef between the old style teaching of churches and when there's an old versus young people in the not in the body, maybe in the church. um Maybe that they're not, back in the day when things were a lot cheaper. Maybe marriage was probably a lot more easier to get, but now it's kind of hard because of high expenses, high rent, high everything. Everybody's just not having babies anymore. A lot of them are having like dogs and pets, and um, possibly not coming into church very often, you know, due to busy lifestyle and all that. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It is your man Joe. See you guys in another video or so. All right.